Welcome to the Welding Business Owners Podcast, where our podcasts are late but our bids are on time. I'm your host, Kevin, with JMW Fabrication. Today, we have the fifth and final episode with Matt Stout from Stout Customs. If you haven't checked out the previous episodes, go back and check them out now. If you haven't followed him by now, the fifth and final episode, you're not going to. But if you want to, go online, go on Instagram, find him at Matt_Stunt. Find his metalworking stuff at Stout Customs. Find his boonie bikes at Stout_Customs. By now, you should know where to find us. JMW Fabrication is me and my shop and my team. Welding Business Owners Podcast is the podcast. That's where you find out everything for the Fabricator Olympics and whatnot. So go on there, check us out, leave us a review. That's enough for the housekeeping. Here's episode number 5.
The mini bike races are getting bigger and bigger. There's one event in particular in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's called Flat Out Friday. It piggybacks along with the Mama Tried Motorcycle Show. It's kind of a doubleheader. That was, sort of what inspired the whole mini bike, creation. They had like a mini bike scene, if you will, where there was, say, 12 dudes that were meeting up and racing mini bikes every once in a while. And then that gained momentum, and then we made our thing. And then in the last 3 years, since we started making these mini bikes, it's just taken off like wildfire. So now we go to events and it's just been crazy because I do this for fun, right? And it's just so thrilling that I go to these events and I try and do I'll do 5 or 10 mini bikes and before an event. We'll throw them in the trailer. We'll go out to a motorcycle event. We'll camp out. We'll hang out. And normally we'll sell them all. Normally,
right there out of the trailer.
Right there out of the trailer. Yep. And normally a lot of them are already spoken for.
Yeah.
Before we get there. Yo, can I get one? And I do this, again, I do this as selfish. I do this for me, not for you, right? Yeah. So it sounds selfish, but it's a very healthy way for me to look at it. If you want a mini bike, I will let you know when I have one sitting here. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to promise you a mini bike in 3 weeks because I don't know if I'm going to feel like making one in 3 weeks, or the work that unfortunately is paying the bills and paying for the roof over my shop has to take priority. But it's been freaking awesome. I made this crazy display that holds the mini bike and spins it around like that movie Leave It to Beaver.
I think I saw that at Sturgis, yeah.
So the movie Leave It to Beaver, where he sees the bicycle in the fucking window and it's spinning real slow. I'm like, I need that for my mini bike. So we put the mini bike on top. Every time we plug the damn thing in, somebody comes out of the crowd and buys the bike right off of the spinner. I'm like, yeah! It's been awesome. And right now there are 63 of them in the world.
Wow.
So when you think of the story, you maybe I overtold the story and any of the listeners thought we were at number 490 or whatever.
Yeah.
We're at 63, but when you think of manufacturing 63, it's not just building the chassis, and I quickly learned this, but I knew these things just from building choppers and that type of stuff, but 63 mini bikes, that's 128 wheels and 128 tires that I had to source, 63 sets of handlebars. How many foot pegs?
Seats and the custom upholstery you have on the seats.
So how many fasteners? I have a spreadsheet with all the McMaster fasteners. I went down every corner of that rabbit hole, and those things hold a tolerance with, I'm not letting up, right? Yeah. So I'm a fabricator. When I fabricate something, it is as sweet as it needs to be, and that mini bike is way fucking sweeter than it needs to be. When I say those frames are probably within 15 thou, I am probably not exaggerating.
That's
at all
on a mini bike.
On a mini bike. I mean, I water jetted. We were just talking about it. So I water jetted every piece of the jig. The parts click into place. Mm-hmm. I have the tube bending dialed. in every way. If the part doesn't click in, we don't force it. Because it's a frame, right? So the frame needs to relax and be where it needs to be before you clamp the back wheel. You know what I mean? Or before you force it over that little 1/8 inch to the neck. If it's not right, we can tweak it until it just falls right in. Then we weld it. And then we have the welding process. You know, I have videos that I've made of myself just talking. Myself reminding myself how to notch all the tubes. I mean, everything's notched. I really have a blast making them. I love it because it's changed the culture, and now and it's really changed a lot of people's lives I've seen. I mean, for example, there's a couple who the gentleman, the guy, I say kid, I'm 34 now. I think he's 39. But the 39-year-old...
The old man.
Yeah. Old boy lives up in Pennsylvania, and he has a Stout Boonie. And there's a girl that he dates, and she lives in Wisconsin. She has a Stout Boonie. And they're like, the Stout Boonie fan club. And I swear, like, I can't speak for them, but... they get together, they drive across the country with their Stout Boonies to hang out and ride Stout Boonies together.
That's awesome.
I'm like, dude, like when I see these things happening, like she'll post something online with the Boonie in the truck and she's going to his house and in Pennsylvania on the way to see my boo with the Stout Boonie in the back. Like, have we changed these person's lives that much for the better?
Yeah.
Maybe. You know, and that's why I love creating things.
Inspiration.
Yeah, like that's why I love creating.
Yeah.
You know, and I learned through that experience that that's what drives me to fabricate. My heart is with fabrication. It's not with architecture.
Yeah.
When I do an architectural project, I forget about that as quickly as I want to get paid for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a greedy way, but that's what I do. I'm in love with the fabrication part of it. Deeper than that, like when I see the work and it's done, it's beautiful, but I don't dream about it at night.
Yeah. I
dream about creating choppers and mini bikes and trucks that do burnouts, you know? So it's all the same. It's all the same vein, but they you know, kind of goes out in different ways, but what a cool thing to spend a couple years of my life sort of doing. Like I took about 6 months of my life to design and to get it set up for manufacturing. In every, like when I tell you I nitpicked every, like, you know how I am with stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So when I nitpicked every bottom corner of that rabbit hole, like we're there. Like it's dialed. So and it took 6 months of my entire life.
Yeah.
And I wasn't moving on until I got one thing perfected. And like, so how it worked was I knew what I wanted the frame to look like, and I sort of did some test bends to get us there and then get the stance and then sort of built it without building it. And then I stopped right there. Then I built the jig.
Okay.
Because I knew, from point A to point B, that's where I want these components. So then every piece got the next step of the jig built with it. Okay. So I wasn't moving on. That's why it took
so... you were intentional about building one step and then you build the jig for it. Next step, because you had the whole manufacturing process, like, to begin with.
Yep. So that's why I'm like, I'm here. I'm going to design the manufacturing process to design this thing. That's what took so bloody long. But man, it really fueled me. It was like, you know, that was cool. Yeah. Now it's there. And it's there. It's done. They exist. Like, it's a thing. And I didn't understand this until there was a guy that pulled me aside this last year at the one bike show. And he was like, dude, this is so awesome. And I'm like, yeah, dude, thanks. Like, you know, fist bump, like, appreciate it. He's like, man, I was talking about it with so-and-so. And I was like, yeah, man, thanks. Cool. He explained it to me in a way, he didn't really use any magical words or anything, but the way he explained it to me, it made me sort of understand a little bit more. He's like, dude, it was in your head and now it's here. And I was like, wow, no one's ever said that. Mm-hmm. And I don't think of what I do like that, but everything I touch is in my head and now it's here.
Yeah.
Right? So what a magical thing. And he's like, look, like touch it. And I was like, he's right.
Yeah.
You know? I never thought of it like that.
I made this come to fruition, you know?
Yeah. So like, and there's 60 of them lined up.
Yeah.
So I never thought of it like that. But when he said it like that, I was like, wow. Like, it gave me chills.
Yeah.
Still does. So that's what fuels me.
When you close your eyes at night and you dream about the Boonie bikes, what is your vision? Like you said that, you know, you're not going to push the financial and building it unless it comes, but like, what is your vision? Like what do you see this could be? What do you want it to be?
How could this work?
Like, what's your dream with this?
So, I mean, I've already gotten everything that I need to get out of the mini bike. I want to make another mini bike. Like, I want to make another model. I want to make a pro. I want to make a... Dude, I'm like giving away stuff, you know. This has never been said live before, but I want to make a Stout Boonie Pro edition where, like, so people always want to modify stuff.
Yeah.
So people are already like, well, it's got 12 millimeter axles, and I was going to try and do a 15 millimeter axle. I'm like, well, maybe the Boonie Pro gets a 15 millimeter axle, or maybe we do a chromoly frame on the Boonie Pro. It's totally not necessary. It is not necessary, but maybe it'd be cool, you know. Maybe the Boonie Pro doesn't come with handlebars because I make handlebars for the Boonie, and they are what I see. They're the right handlebar that I see for the bike. Mm-hmm. But a lot of guys, because they're the stock handlebars, they just want to take them off and throw them. Yeah. You know what I mean? They put pro tapers on them.
Everybody does, yeah.
Yeah, like, which our bars are right. Like, they're great, but they don't say pro taper on them. So whatever. I'm not offended by it. It's like, it's all good. But those are the right bars for that bike.
Yeah.
You know? I made those for that. And you just took them off to put those ones on that belong on the Z50.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is all good. But maybe it has aluminum wheels. Maybe it's got some other doodads that are
nice.
That are way cooler. So I want to make a Boonie 2.0. I also want to make a 10-inch Boonie.
Okay.
10-inch wheel as opposed to the 12-inch wheel. The 10-inch wheel, I think there's like some uncharted there's an uncharted territory there with a 10-inch performance mini bike. Some of the races are smaller. Now, through doing this, I stopped taking the racing seriously. Because for one, I'm getting a little old. I don't need to be out there killing myself to win a $10 trophy. So I went out. I won my races. Like, I'm good. I got the victory lane interviews and all that stuff. So like, I'm not retired, but I'm not taking the racing seriously. Well, there's other people that are. So now we have sort of like and everybody's 12-inch wheels, 12-inch wheels, 12-inch wheels. Well, I think a 10-inch wheel can get around the track, get around some of the smaller tracks better. So I want to show up with the 10-inch wheel. And, you know, some of the tracks are a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
You can zip around with the 10-inch wheel.
Nice.
So there's that. I didn't get into the sidecar thing yet. So,
Yet.
So we have the mini bike. It's out there. It's alive. So now, this past year, I made a sidecar. Have you seen the sidecar?
I saw it.
Okay. Yeah. So we made a sidecar for the mini bike because everybody said, well, you got to make a sidecar. I'm like, all right, fine, we'll make a sidecar. So there was the need for a sidecar. So I'm like, all right, well, I got to make like five sidecars. I'm going to make 10. So I made 10. If I'm doing it, I'm doing it. So same rabbit hole as the mini bikes, like jig, sidecar, design, build, manufacturing process. Now we're set up to manufacture the sidecars. That was beginning of this year. So back in January, I started on the sidecar. Debuted them at the event in Milwaukee, where they have the race and the big bike show. So that was a cool thing. And I made the sidecar because I needed to figure out an epic way to propose to my now fiance. So in typical Matt Stout fashion, we can't do anything normal. So I'm like, okay, so here's what I got to do. So this event that I've mentioned in Milwaukee, it has been a lot of my inspiration for building the mini bikes and the culture and that type of stuff. It's a flat track motorcycle racing event. It's called Flat Out Friday. You guys can look it up. They fill a basketball arena with 10,000 people, and they race flat track motorcycles in the arena. So it's the most entertaining motorcycle race you could ever go to because they make it more of a show. The racing's intense. It's fast paced. It's not just hurry up and wait racing. It's not like, they run it really fast paced, and it's really, really fun. So, and they have a mini bike class there, and Stout Booney is the premier sponsor of the mini bike class and all those good things. So I've become friends with the promoter of this event. So I called him up and I said, yo, I got this really special thing that I want to do at your event this year. Oh, well, what's that? I'm going to make some mini bike sidecars, and we need to have a sidecar class. Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. Oh, everybody will love the sidecars. Let's do it. I'm like, okay, well, listen. So here's what's going to happen at the end of the race. Like, I'm going to win. I'm going to kind of get down on one knee in front of everybody, and I'm going to pull this stunt off. Biggest stunt of my life. But he's like, oh my God, like, that's crazy. Like, does she know? I'm like, she has no idea. And he's like, you're nuts. Let's do it. But I called the dude up. I told him I needed the sidecar class. He's like, well, have you started building them yet? I'm like, no, but it's all good, dude. Like,
I got this.
We're going to do it. Yeah. So when you look back at it, I needed the most epic way to get engaged as I could find. My goal was, I won that race last year. And by myself, I was in victory lane, and I got an interview, and the crowd was cheering, and I said some stuff, and they were like, yeah, and it was awesome. All right, exit, done. Man, that was cool. How am I going to get engaged? I need to get engaged in victory lane, because that was like, the crowd was cheering. Like, I've never had that many people boosting me up.
Yeah.
So that was epic. I needed something that much. That good. And so I'm like, well, how am I going to do that? Well, if I make a sidecar for the mini bike, we can race together, win together, get in victory lane together, and then do the engagement. And that's what I did. So I created the machine. I created the class. Created the racing class. Won the race. Landed in victory lane. Dropped down on one knee. So that is the reason that the sidecar exists right now.
Because of her.
Yep. Exactly. She didn't believe me when I told her that, She's so supportive, and she understands, like, when we're getting ready to go to a motorcycle event and I got to bang out 10 mini bikes real quick, she's there to make sure that we get them done, or make sure that I have a cheesesteak to eat when I'm hungry because I've been working till midnight or whatever. Like, she is there for it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, babe, I can't go to dinner with you and your parents tonight because I got to build these sidecars. Oh, cool. Yeah, you got the big sidecar race coming up. Yeah, kill it. You're going to do great. She didn't know it was all about her. Mm-hmm. So the sidecar was a thing, and it was going to happen in the future. But I had put it on a time frame. Yeah. Because I needed to get the job done. Yeah. And it was awesome, man. The highest moment of my life. It was so cool.
That is epic, dude. I love it.
Yeah, it was totally cool. All right, so the real punchline. Icon Motorsports makes helmets and gear and stuff. They teamed up with us on a mini bike collaboration last year. We made the mini bike, sent it to them. They souped it up. They modified it. They did it. They made it look really cool. I really liked working with them. They customized one of our mini bikes for promotional purposes. Made it the Icon Edition Stout Booney. So we've developed a relationship. So that's the bike that I rode last year in the race. So they said, Matt, do you want to race our bike again? And I said, well, yeah, I do. But like, I got this thing going on. Like, I'm not sure. I didn't really answer them. I was like, yeah, like sort of. And so I called my buddy Rick, who does the bike stuff with me. And I'm like, so they, in a way, we have Icon and myself have a relationship, sponsorship, partnership collaboration, if you will. Icon Motorsports has a hell of a lot more money than Stout Booney does flying around in their bank account. Let's just throw that out there. I said, Rick, what should I do? I have this big thing I'm planning for the race. I'm going to do the engagement with the sidecars, but the Icon wanted me to race their bike, but I don't think I'm racing because I'm going to race sidecar instead. I'm like, dude, what should I do? Because I want to keep the relationship alive with the Icon people. Should I like nominate another rider? Or he's like, you idiot. He's like, sell them a sidecar and get them to sponsor your race.
Yeah.
I'm like, duh. So I call up Icon Motorsports and I'm like, listen guys, you got to help me out here. I'm doing this thing and you need to sponsor it. And they're like, we love it.
Yeah, we do.
And so, yeah, I got my engagement sponsored. That was the punchline. But yeah, what a wild ride. The whole mini bike thing has just brought so much fulfillment. And I mean, I search for thrill. Like I crave thrill, and for whatever reason, that's been good. It's been thrilling. The edge. Yeah. You know how it is.
I do.
So,
dude, that's awesome, man. What an epic story for a proposal.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of it. I was like afraid at any time it could have just gotten ruined by anything. She could have found the ring. She could have, what if so I knew that I could do all the things, right? I knew that I could manufacture all the bikes and all the sidecars, and I knew that if my tire supplier didn't show up with enough tires, that I would go around all the dealerships and get enough tires.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I knew that I could overcome any hurdle that was thrown at me through this preparation. I knew I could drive halfway across the country to get to the event with an enclosed trailer and all the shit. Like, I knew I could do all these things. What I was like so afraid of is like the pull start braking on the starting line, which doesn't ever happen. But like, what if the pull start breaks? What if the chain pops off? What if I get a flat tire? What if Katie gets sick and can't make it to the race?
Yeah.
Like, all those things. Like, it's not just like going down to the waterfall and getting on one knee, So, but that's kind of how I do everything.
Nice. It works out, man.
And it worked out. When it was over, all I could think to myself was, thank fucking God that's over.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean it like that, but like that was stressful. It was epic and stressful, and everybody loved it. I mean, her parents were there, and yeah. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. It was way, way cool. And she's on top of the world. She's thrilled about it.
Cool, man.
Her brother was telling me she was going to say no in front of all those people. Because I tipped him off early. He's like, man, that's going to be great when she says no. So it was all good shit.
That's awesome, man.
So, yeah.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, man. This has been a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, dude. Sorry, man. You got the long version.
No, this is... I love it. This is what everybody wants to hear, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I appreciate you. Like, do you have anything else?
Do I have any breath left?
Right?
No, that was awesome. Dude, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Congratulations on everything that you've accomplished in the last 10 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations. Top notch.
I think 9, yeah.
Yeah, I want to let you know I have a tremendous respect for your discipline, your self-discipline, and the way that you stay driven toward your goals and the way that you run your ship.
Cool.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I didn't get to do enough of that talking, but maybe in the next episode I can clap for you a little bit more.
No, awesome, man. Well, I appreciate the time.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it for the 5th and final episode with Matt Stout from Stout Customs. If you want to go online, check him out. You know where to find him on Instagram. You know where to find us. If you enjoyed this episode series, please leave us a 5-star review on your podcast player. It super duper helps us out. Stay tuned next week for a brand new episode series with a guy you haven't heard yet. I promise you're going to like it. And until then, get out there, get it done, and get it invoiced.